Welcome to Purpose. I'm your host, Corie Clark. I'm just a normal girl who decided to go for it. I created a thriving business from the ground up without sacrificing my sanity, and I believe that you can do the same. You were created on purpose, for a purpose, and I fully believe you can turn that purpose into profit. Each week, I'm going to bring you practical advice to help you live your life and grow your business on purpose. Welcome back to another week of Purpose. I'm your host, Corie Clark. Thank you so much for tuning in this week. I am so excited because today we opened up ticket sales to the public for Purpose Babe Live. And I was actually really nervous. I don't know why. I just, because there's no going back, I guess. And I have been going from super excited, super nervous, and back and forth. And it's this is going to be a long, how much time do we have left? We have about 8 months. Actually, wow, just about exactly 8 months, because it is taking place October 23rd and 24th. So anyways, I'm so excited and I cannot wait to meet all of you amazing women who are going to be there. We already have ticket sales, you guys. I am freaking out because this is like I'm doing it, and I am going to be scared. I'm going to be excited. I know that so many women's lives are going to change for the better, and I cannot wait to see the impact this has on your life and on the lives of those around you. The difference you're going to be able to make after you immerse yourself in these 2 days of coaching and training and mindset work and community, and just giving yourself permission to actually walk into a room, be 100% yourself, and look around you and see hundreds of other women who are feeling the same as you, who are excited, who are ready to change the world around them, who are ready to make a bigger impact and make income that can change their families' lives, and all for the sake of this deep sense of purpose that they have inside of them. So I am just thrilled beyond belief. And thank you to those of you who have already bought your tickets. In fact, our VIP section is I don't want to say half. I think it's getting close. It's probably a third sold out, and it's limited. We're not adding more VIP because we already have planned an amazing party the night before. We're having a VIP party. There's going to be cocktails, hors d'oeuvres, mocktails if you don't want to have alcohol. We also have, during the 2 days of the event, we have a private VIP lounge, and it's going to be so cute, you guys. It's going to be so cute, and it's going to be stocked with drinks and snacks, and that is where you will be able to have meet and greet with the speakers, with me, and be able to hang out with other women on a more intimate level. So anyways, VIP is absolutely the way to go. Like I said, those tickets are going fast. So if you have not gotten yours yet, go to CorieClark.com/live. And, I don't know about you, but when I go to events, I want to be in the VIP section. If I go to a concert, I want to sit up front. I want to be at events, especially business events or conferences. I want to be in the VIP, not just so that I can feel special and get special treatment, but so that I'm actually surrounded with other people who are also choosing to up level. They're choosing to invest a little bit more so that they can be around the right people, so that they can make connections with people who are willing to make investments as well. And so there is just so many benefits to going with the VIP option. So anyways, we also have a payment plan for the VIP. So be sure to head to CorieClark.com/live and snag your ticket now. It's going to be an amazing event. We're going to be releasing more details soon, speakers, sponsors. The VIP swag bag is going to be amazing, as well as everybody's swag bag is going to be amazing. But VIP, you guys are You guys are getting some special goodies. So, anyways, get your ticket. I cannot wait to meet you. And I'll be sharing more details over the next few months leading up to the event. So, today's episode is actually an interview that I did for my friend Kristen Wheeler. So, this was recorded and played on her podcast, but I really felt like it was timely to share with you guys because we really weren't focused necessarily on business, but on goal setting, on achieving your goals, on simplifying your life. And as you probably know, we're getting ready to kick off my free Simplicity Challenge. It's starting on Monday. So I have not done this challenge in like 2 years, and I was just really feeling like I needed to serve you guys in that way again, simplifying and creating margin in your life. And so I decided, let's do a free challenge. So I have the link to that in the show notes. You can go to CorieClark.com/simplicity challenge, or you can click the link in the show notes and get signed up. It's totally free. It's 5 days of simplifying your life and really just getting a nice, good handle on where you're headed in your life and creating that margin so that you do have like the time and the capacity and the freedom to live out your purpose. And as most of you know, that's kind of where I all started. And I dig into that a little bit more in this interview with Kristen. And so that's why I'm really excited to share that with you guys today. Okay, so let me introduce you to Kristen. On any given day, she's a perfect storm of coffee and dry shampoo, and she loves the movie Frozen independently of her kids. You can usually find her hanging out with her husband and 2 kids in their small Colorado suburb while they chase food trucks in the American dream. She calls herself a colossal overachiever, and she's always wanted to be that supermom, the one who always has it together. Her house is always clean, both her socks match, and just know she smells amazing. But she's found that instead of assuming that everyone else has it together and she's just desperately trying to keep up, when she raises her hand and says, "Life is messy and I don't have all the answers," she's met with the understanding and resounding "me too." And this is what her website says: "I have to wonder how often we would find that we're in good company if we just shared what was really happening day to day, good or bad, positive or negative, beautiful or seemingly ugly. What you'll find here are real stories about life's imperfections and how we can all find strength in imperfection, beauty in the mess, joy and peace in the midst of the fear of not feeling good enough." Okay, can I get an amen? I think we all know exactly what she's talking about. So Kristen is the host of Confessions of a Supermom Wannabe podcast, and I will link up all of her information in the show notes. You guys need to follow her. She's hilarious. She's funny. She's so down to earth, and I really just loved our conversation. So I reached out to her and asked if I could share it with you guys, and she said yes. So here we go.
Corie, thank you so much for being here. Welcome. It's so nice to talk to you. We've never met in person, and this is the first time we're really talking to each other, so I'm excited.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. I'm excited too.
So you describe yourself, your tagline is you help purpose-driven entrepreneurs turn purpose into profit. So you are very goal-oriented. You help people set goals. And today, you don't have to be an entrepreneur or striving to make money from something in order to have goals and to be chasing after something.
Yeah, definitely. That's kind of like what I've moved into, is helping entrepreneurs. But, my whole, I feel like my whole purpose and why I'm here is to inspire other women to truly live like their most purposeful life. So whatever that looks like, it does not have to be business. It's really just about being intentional and purposeful with their everyday life.
So I can't wait to talk about purpose, because I think that we all need some kind of purpose in our lives. But first, tell us a little bit about yourself. I know you're a mom and you live near the beach. And so talk a little bit about what your day-to-day life looks like.
Yeah. Yes, I'm a mom. I've been married. Actually, our anniversary is this weekend, and it'll be 23 years. So I've been married to my best friend Ryan for 23 years, and we have three kids. They are our oldest son Parker is 19, and then our daughter Morgan is 17, and our youngest Brody is 14. And so, yeah, we have a very full life. I actually homeschooled my kids. So I've got one more. Brody's the last. We're finishing up with him, and um, about 5 years ago, well, more now, like more like 6 years ago, I just felt this desire to really simplify our lives and create some margin because we had such a full life. And it wasn't like anything crazy. It was just like, I'm sure you and every other listener you have, you're just keeping up with the American dream. And so that just kind of completely changed our lives. And so now we do run our business from home, and we live in Southern California. We love it here. We love being by the beach. We try to go to the beach. We've made it a goal this year to go at least once a week because it's so close, and it's a shame that last year we didn't make it as much as we wanted. So,
Oh my gosh,
yeah.
so jealous. Okay, so did I hear three teenagers?
Yes, you did.
Oh my good. That's a lot of hormones in one house.
It
You and
is.
I could probably have a whole episode talking about raising teenagers because I have two teenagers in the house. I can't imagine having three at one time. Tell me about how
Yeah.
what that looks like.
Well, it's actually really not that bad in my opinion, but we say teenagers, but my oldest is 19 and he works like pretty much full time, and he plays the drums at church. So, he's really not here a ton. And then my daughter Morgan, she graduated a year early. And so she's still living at home. All three of them are at home, but she's living here and she started her own business. And she also she works, she's like part of my team as well. So it's really just like one teenager, as far as that goes. But it's been great, honestly. And yes, of course, we have crazy moments. And yes, there is raging hormones and raging, brother sister fights and that kind of stuff. So it can be a lot. But at the same time, like, they kind of all pull their weight around here. So basically, like when I started homeschooling, it was kind of like this family rule, like, hey, if I'm going to homeschool you guys, you have to help around the house because I can't do all of it. So I think we've got like a pretty good system of making sure, like, there's not like the teenage, trash on the
Angst.
floor and yes, craziness. Like everybody's gotta pay their dues around here.
People talk about how once they get through the toddler stage, then the house won't be so messy. And people talk to me about my house and, well, at least your kids aren't spilling stuff all over the place. And I'm like, yeah,
Oh yeah.
they don't call them teenagers for nothing. There is
Yeah.
validity to that term because teenagers are the messiest, dirty people I know.
Seriously, I know. And it's so funny because like we pick on my oldest because he actually spills more than anyone in this house. And like a couple years
Yes.
ago, we got like these white IKEA couches, and they
Oh,
actually are like they're really easy to just like throw the cover in the wash and stuff. So it
sure.
hasn't been too bad, but it's just kind of like the joke around the house now. It's like, people always say, oh, I could never have these couches with, my younger kids. And I'm like, yeah, well, my son who spills his like cold brew like at least once a week on the white couch.
Oh my gosh. I had a teenager fall asleep on my crate and barrel couch. It's the first piece of grown up furniture that I've ever owned in 16 years of marriage. Fell asleep on the crate and barrel, like light gray couch with a green smoothie in their hand.
Oh no.
And I about panicked. I snatched the cup up and it was basically empty. But yes, that mess does not stop at really any certain age. I feel like
No.
maybe like 8 to 10, maybe they're a little careful.
Yeah, they're getting control of their body, and they can
Yeah.
handle not spilling, but then they get careless.
But then yes, yes, and they're like, "Well, I'm grown now. You don't have to treat me like a little kid."
Yeah.
these are my teenagers talking. I'm like, yeah, okay, let's watch you spill.
Yep.
Okay, so we're in a time of year, January, fresh start, new decade, and we're all thinking about our goals for the year, for the next decade, for our life. I know, especially this time of year, and I just came back from a vacation. So when I come back from vacation, I get really energized to, okay, I've reset. It's time to set some new intentions, some new goals, and I come out just guns blazing, and then most of us peter out. So by the time this episode comes out, we will have all, for the most part, statistically, given up on our New Year's resolutions and all those things that we were excited about on January 1st or that first week of January. So why do you think that is?
Um, Gosh, I feel like it is. It's so exciting. People get so excited. They want to see a change in their life. And so, instead of just trying to make small changes all year long, they wait and all of a sudden it's like January 1st and everybody wants to change their entire life. And I think especially like I feel like it's like even more intense this year because it's 2020. So we've been reflecting on, the last decade, and maybe we're really not where we want to be in our life, in our financial situation, in our businesses, in our health, and all that kind of stuff. And so it almost feels a little bit heavier. And but then I feel like people get so excited, which is awesome. I think everybody should be excited to make some changes. But they try to make these huge like overhauls, or for the people who don't keep them, I think it's usually because it is something too big, or it's really not specific. It's like, oh, I want to get healthy. It's like, well, what does that mean? Like, you want to drink more water, you want to work out, like, what do you? So I feel like if people can get a little more specific, or maybe do something that's a little bit more tangible, and then like increase as they can, show up consistently on that goal.
So I'm like that, and up until recently, where I've kind of discovered the same thing, where okay, I need to get a little bit more specific. I need to figure out the purpose behind it. I've been a once and for all kind of person. Like, let's
Mm-hmm.
just do this. Let's overhaul the whole thing. Let's do it all at once. And then, of course, like I said, I get discouraged, and I
Yeah.
think that we all do. And I even got to a point, and this might seem like a trite question, but I got to the point where it was like, well, why even set goals in the first place?
Mm-hmm.
Why am I even doing this? I feel like I'm setting myself up for failure, even just by writing the goal down. It's like, well, I've never followed through on this before. Why would I follow through on it now? So why are goals so important, and why do we need them in the first place?
I think we need them because we really like, there's just this sense of like, if you don't have a goal and you don't have anything to live for, and you're not trying to like push yourself in any certain area, I think that actually ends up causing a lot of like depression and anxiety and feelings of like loneliness and like, unworthiness and stuff like that. Because if we're just being like sedentary, like you're actually I just heard something at a conference where somebody said like if something's not like growing, it's dying. So like think of like plants, even like if they're not growing, they are probably dying. And so if we're not trying to grow ourselves, then I feel like it truly is taking away from our life and our happiness. And so I do think it's so important to set some sort of goal to try and be a little bit better every day. And I'm not saying like I'm not like getting all Tony Robbins and everybody's got to, like live your best life every day. Like it's just truly about like, how can I make sure I'm living my best life today? Like, am I moving my body? Am I, happy? Am I like having fun with my kids? It does not have to be anything insane. It just needs to be something that's a little bit more than where you are right now.
Yeah, that goes back to that purpose, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and we're not doctors, and we're not going to put a label on all forms of depression and anxiety,
No.
but I think that's a good point, that if you're struggling with being down a lot or struggling with anxiety, I know that that's been true in my life before, that it might be worth looking at, okay, what am I passionate about? What do I feel like my purpose is? Even if you don't know for your whole life, like what's my purpose for right now? I think especially for moms, what's my purpose for right now? Who needs me right now? How can I serve my world right now? How do we uncover that?
For me, it's honestly like as simple as like sometimes I'll just sit down and like remind myself. And like back when I first wrote my book, like 5 years ago, 6 years ago, that's how simple I started. Like, and I'm like a visual person. I have to write stuff down. So people might be listening, being like, "What? I don't want to write anything down." But it really helps. Like I just wrote down like what are the most important areas of my life, and like okay, so like being a wife, being a mom, being a friend, serving at our church, like all those things are really important to me. And then I just wrote down like a couple of things under each of those categories. Like, how do I want to show up as like the best mom? Like, what would make me feel like, hey, I am being like the best mom I can if I do this, if I have a game night with my kids, if I, read a book to my son, like, back when he was younger. So I think sometimes we overcomplicate things in our minds, which is why I always suggest just writing it out. Because when you write it out and you get it out of your head, you realize, like, oh, wait, this isn't as hard as I'm making it seem. And especially as moms and in today's society, and we see all this stuff on Pinterest and Instagram, and we start to feel like, oh my gosh, I'm not good enough. And, and then it can stop us instead of just like owning our own life, like where we're at right now. Okay, so how can I be a really good wife today? Like, what does that look like today? Like, don't worry about tomorrow. Don't worry about next week, but like, what can I do today to be a good wife? What can I do today to be a good mom? And that kind of stuff. And I think if we stop overcomplicating it, it'll actually be a lot easier to just follow through with the things we want to do.
Preaching to the overthinker in the room.
Oh, I am too. Preaching to myself.
Okay, it's like, wait, let me overthink this first.
Yeah. But honestly, that's why it sounds so silly, but I always like even in my like paid master classes, I tell people, write it down. Like what do you want to do? Because I it's like we like quadruple what we want to do in our minds if we leave it in there. You write it all out and you're like, "Oh, wait, I can do this."
Right. Okay, so write it down. What's the best way? What are some other ways too to find or set a goal?
Um, oh wow. I mean, I guess like let's say like what kind of goal do you think? Like maybe a health goal or
Yeah, let's start with health.
okay. So for health, like for me, it's honestly starts with like you can't just say I want to get healthy or I want to get fit. Like you have to just choose something. Like what's one thing you want to do and commit to doing that every single day. And so honestly for me, and that was a huge part of like when I wrote my book, it was about taking like baby steps, like literally like 15 minutes a day. So if you're at a place in your life where you really are unhealthy, you haven't been moving a lot, maybe you've gained some weight, maybe you don't feel good about yourself. Um, like I literally tell people, like, can you go for a 15-minute walk today? Or if you truly can't, if you are like in that much pain and that miserable, like, can you go outside for 5 minutes? Find something that you can do. Like, you can do it. It's very attainable, but it's a little bit more than what you've been doing, and commit to doing it every single day. And obviously like writing things out and making a plan. So if you have a bigger goal, like I want to run a marathon, then you really truly do need to make a plan. You can't just show up to the marathon, you have to schedule your trainings, you have to be eating right, you have to, plan out your rest days. There's so much you have to do. So I think it really just depends on the goal, but ultimately like writing it down, finding someone that's going to keep you accountable, whether that's your spouse or some friends, um, and really trying to make sure that you stick to it, but don't overdo it. Choose, okay, for the month of February, I'm going to move my body 15 minutes a day. And then after February, okay, for the month of March, I'm going to move my body 20 minutes a day. Or, so just set something that's like attainable, it's close, you can have some small wins so that it keeps you motivated to keep going.
So, what about? I know several people, including myself, who have a goal this year to focus on more meaningful relationships. So, for
Mm,
something like that, that maybe doesn't have that trackable progress, like a
mhm,
number on the scale or something that, health related, you can kind of notice progress.
mhm,
What
mhm.
would you say to someone, or do you see this in the people that you work with, that they want to have more meaningful relationships? What do you say would be a good plan or a good reflection on a goal like that?
I think, and that's something like I'm working on this year too. And that's why actually, like, when we set our goals this year, we were really like, before we set any of our business goals or anything like that, we said, we set our goal of going to the beach every single week, of having date night every Tuesday. And one of my personal goals, because like last year, I was so busy with like the business and so much going on that I really felt like I just didn't have any like deep relationships last year, or didn't make a point to like go deeper with any of my friendships. And so this year, for my personal goal, is to make sure that I am spending time with like at least one friend at least once a week. And so it could be, even though you don't necessarily want to treat a relationship like a health goal, but sometimes in our crazy busy lives, it is important to schedule that. Like, okay, I'm going to meet a friend for coffee every Wednesday morning, or I'm going to plan a girls' night, like, twice a month, whatever that looks like for you and your group of friends. But really, and even talking to those friends about it, saying, like, hey, let's really try to make 2020 a year that we take our friendship to the next level. And let's have intentional conversations when we are together. And not just sit and complain about our husbands and our kids and gossip or whatever. Like, actually, like, let's try to together take this relationship a little bit deeper.
Yeah, that's great. I love that. And what about, they say that the success is found or progress is made when you keep going even when it's hard. So let's fast forward to, May. I feel like May is the new December for moms. And we get really busy, and I mean, it all just kind of hits the fan when school ends and we're all tired, and we've been trucking along this far, and it just gets too hard. And I know that a lot of this is subjective, but let's stay in the context of health and relationships. So I didn't go to the grocery store this week, so I have nothing healthy to grab, or it's just too busy. I just can't find the time to spend with those people, and things sort of start to unravel, at least for me, from there. Like when it just gets
Mm-hmm.
too busy, too stressful, too hard. What's your encouragement to people when they get, because we all get to that place?
I would say, as far as like just encouragement, would be like, you've got to give yourself grace, because we all know, okay, May's crazy town. Kids are like finishing all their school projects. Like you said, like, some of our goals are slipping to the wayside, and we're not making amazing decisions. But I think if you can give yourself some grace, and instead of being like, oh, well, like all's lost, like let's just hit the drive through every night this week, um, giving yourself an opportunity to like get back on track and just be like, okay, oh, well, we got off track for a little bit here, but hey, like every day can be January 1st if we want it to be. So let's have a plan. Let's have a family meeting. What's happening this week? Like, how can we make sure we take care of ourselves the best this week? Or how can we make sure we make time for a date night or a girls' night or whatever it may be? I think sometimes you just have to stop yourself and like hit the reset button
Mm-hmm.
and like forgive yourself for whatever path you've been going down and start over. And as far as like, not necessarily an encouragement, but just a tip would be to like right now, while you're in that mode of like you're still excited, you're, trying to stick to your goals, like make some things automatic. Like maybe you have a Sunday night meeting with your family and talk about your week, and it's just 15 minutes. But if you start to make things automatic now, it's going to set you up for more wins when you get into those crazy seasons. So like on Sundays, we kind of map out like what's going on this week, what meals are we having this week, what do we need to pick up at the grocery store. I mean, I'm like a huge fan of, I use like Instacart and Amazon Prime now, like as much as possible, because I'd rather like pay like the $3.99 delivery fee than like go to the drive-thru or something if we're out of food. But, when you make things automatic, like this is our weekly, family meeting, this is our monthly budget meeting, like with your spouse, or, if you start to set up some of those automations, put them in your calendar, put them in your planner, whatever scheduling system you use. And if you start like making it a habit now, it's going to make it a lot easier come like May or next, holiday season. Those are the times. Like it's crazy right before summer, and it's crazy like before the holidays, and we can let some of those things go. But I feel like if you can make something a habit where it's just like, this is our ritual, this is what we do, it's going to help you get through those crazy times.
Yeah, I'm totally learning that. I just did an episode on habits and realizing that my goals are not about, I know that they say it's a marathon, not a sprint, but I try to sprint all of the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I've learned that, okay, so let's uncover the habits that are keeping me from where I want to be and turn this into slowly but surely by, like you said, automating and changing habits. And I love that about, I like to call it outsourcing, some of those things, especially when it gets crazy. Spend the $5 to have groceries, delivered, or have somebody shop for you. I mean, that's such a gift. Save the spare change from your laundry and treat yourself to somebody doing the grocery shopping for you.
Yeah.
I love that automation that just helps us breathe, even if we don't use it all of the time, and just those busy times, I think can make a huge difference.
Exactly. And that's what we do. Like we don't use Instacart for every single grocery trip, but when I know we have a busy week and I know I've got a lot of groceries I got to get, and it's like, wow, this would be like, a 2-hour trip, then I use it. And then I get to stay home and get some work done, or, whatever it is. So, it's even something I teach to like a lot of my like members, like my entrepreneurs. It's like you don't have to necessarily spend a ton of money to get some free time. You don't necessarily have to hire a nanny or some sort of full-time, position. Like find little snippets of things that you can outsource, or if your kids are old enough, like, give them some chores. I don't know. I feel like a lot of people don't give their kids chores, or, I mean, I'm sure it's obviously different with everybody. I divvy out the housework a lot to save myself some time and sanity.
Yeah, I need to do more of that. It's hard to ask teenagers to do things sometimes.
I know. No, ours is just a rule. I mean, we still doesn't even matter like that we've been doing this forever. And it's like still when it's like, can you empty the dishwasher? It's like, oh, who did it last? It's like this argument. I'm like, I don't really care. You live here, empty it.
Yeah. I didn't ask who did it last. I asked who to do it.
Exactly.
Universal household conversation.
Yes.
Okay, so maybe somebody is listening and really not knowing where to start. I know we've talked about uncovering where do I want to show up in my life, but given that you work with people who are setting goals on a regular basis, maybe what are some of the trending goals right now, or what are some of the goals that you see people making that maybe listeners can be inspired by and get some motivation from?
Well, okay, I'm not really sure what's trending, but here is what I always tell people to start with. I'm like a huge believer in having a big vision and actually like visualizing things. And so I love to tell people like and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're an entrepreneur, it doesn't matter if you're a mom, whatever you are. I think you should have some sort of like vision for your life. Like, where do you want to be in like 10 years? Like, if anything was possible, like, what would your relationships look like? What would your house look like? What would your financial situation look like? What would your health look like? All that kind of stuff. And really like write it out and like how you would feel about yourself, and how you would feel about your relationships, and where would you be getting your joy from, and all that kind of stuff. Because I think what it does is it puts you in this place of like, wow, like I actually really do want more for my life. And it doesn't mean you're not happy with where you're at. Like right now, I am fully happy and content with where I am, but I also can like dream about the future, and I can have this and I really do. I like write it out in full on detail, like what my house is going to look like and where we're going to travel and all that kind of stuff. Kind of puts you like, it elevates like your headspace and puts you in this like more excited energy before you get into your like more bite-sized goal setting. And so you can even do it kind of for the end of the year. Like, so when we set our 2020 goals for our personal goals and our business goals and that kind of stuff, we really like visualize like, what do we want to feel like on December 31st, 2020? Like, what do we want to be like grateful for and excited that we accomplished? And then we kind of work backwards from there.
I love
And
that.
yeah, because honestly, like at the end of the day, I could say, oh, I want to lose 10 pounds, but like, why? What do you want to feel like? And really start setting goals like from a place of like, how do I want to feel? Who do I want to be? Like, what kind of person do I want to be? And then like aligning your goals with that person.
So you said something that I want to go back to for all of the overachiever perfectionists in the room. What's your advice for how to define success? When it's not that we're unhappy, but nothing is usually for perfectionists, nothing is ever good enough. I always have to move on to the next thing and the next result and the next goal, rather than stopping and reflecting and appreciating the progress. So what advice do you give to those who just are always chasing and don't really know how to define success?
Mm. Well, I think it's something that you have to start practicing. And I'm definitely like an achiever. And for me as an achiever, it's never like coming from a place of like that I'm not content. It's just like in my blood. It's who I want to be. But what I've started doing over the last couple of years is really practicing gratitude and really setting intentions. So like, and I put those things in, like, I have a new planner that came out this year, the 90 Days of Purpose. And every day you write down 3 gratitudes, and then you do some like affirmations and dreams. And then you write down 3 intentions. And those are supposed to be like intentions, like, how am I going to show up today? Who am I going to be? How do I want to feel? That kind of stuff. Because it really comes down to like being self-aware. And if you don't get into the habit, like we just talked about habits, if you don't get into the habit and practice of like really writing down the things that you're grateful for and writing down the person you want to be, it can actually, like, I feel like because I created that habit, it helps me stay grounded and not so like, what can I do? What can I get done? What can I finish by the end of the week? What can I finish by the end of 2020? It's more about being really like grounded and aligned with the person I'm becoming. So I think it really has to do with creating a habit and, a morning routine where you sit down and you practice gratitude and affirmations and intentions and stuff before you get into your daily grind. And like that can be for anybody. It does not have to be an entrepreneur. It doesn't have to be, an overachiever. I think no matter who you are, if you can practice those things, it just is going to keep you more aligned with your values and your purpose.
I love that. Oh, yes. Thank you. Okay, so I want to talk about your book and your course and your online community. Tell me about all the things you have going on.
Yes. Well, we have a lot. So, yeah, 5 years ago, well, I keep saying 5 or 6. Basically, 6 years ago was when I was writing my book. And I wrote it from a place of, I basically wrote what I did because I was in this space where I just felt like everything was a little chaotic. I really wanted to follow my purpose. I wasn't quite sure what that was. I just knew I wanted to be writing and blogging and helping inspire other women to follow their dreams. And what I realized was like my life was just way too chaotic. And it wasn't like, honestly, like from the outside looking in, I'm sure no one would have thought it was weird. It's just like every other person, school and church and the to-do list and, just all the stuff. And I just didn't have the space in my life to pursue my purpose. So basically, for the whole month of February in 2014, I put myself and my family through like this 28-day simplicity challenge that I just kind of made up on my own. But and then I wrote the book about what we had done. And after that, people started saying, like, oh my gosh, like they loved the book. And then, like, can you make a planner that implements what you teach in the book? And so I was like, okay, maybe we should try this. I felt like all powerful because I just published a book. And so I thought, why not? And so we went for it. And then the planner sold out in less than a month. And it was like, oh my gosh, I guess this is what we're doing now. So we've continued to put out planners every year for the last 5 years, and we absolutely love that side of the business. But we actually, like a couple years ago, it was kind of like turning into this stationery company, and that's not what I wanted. My intention for putting out the planner was not to create stationery products. It was just to give women a tool to live more purposefully, to get control of their health and their home and their finances and their time. And so, but as women started seeing the business grow, they were like, oh my gosh, like reaching out for help. Like, can you coach me? Can you help me? Can you teach me how you built your business? So then I created a membership for female entrepreneurs to help them grow like a purposeful and profitable online business. And so, yeah, so we've got kind of two businesses. We've got the planners going, but then we also have the entrepreneur side. And, I'll do like goal setting workshops and trainings. And we're actually having our first live event this October. So that's kind of the next big thing that we're doing. So we're really excited about that.
That sounds so exciting. Lots going
Yes.
on for you this year. So if
Yes.
somebody is interested in learning more and they want to connect with you, how can they find you? How should they do that?
I mean, honestly, the easiest way is on Instagram. I answer my DMs in Instagram. It's not like a team member. So, if they want to connect with me, they can just follow me, Corie Clark.
Well, and I follow you, and you're so calm and encouraging. And anytime a video pops up from you on Instagram, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna be okay. This is okay. I'm doing
Okay, good.
good.
That's good. I know. I want women to know, like, and like, I'm like, some people think, oh, you made a planner, you must be super organized. And I'm like, no, I made it because I needed it, because I'm not naturally organized. Like, it's weird because I am kind of type A. So I like to organize things, but then I don't know. It's like I became a mom and raising kids. It's like I have so many things going on that no, I'm not. I'm not like, my cabinets are not like super organized. I'm sure people would be like, oh, wow, she's just normal like me.
I wish we could all get a peek into each other's lives like that. Like,
I
oh,
know.
I'm not the only one who has more Tupperware lids than Tupperware.
Exactly. Yes. I know. And we're kind of constantly decluttering, which that's what I do. And that's like like, I have a declutter challenge that like is honestly for anybody. And that's what I teach is like 15 minutes a day. Like, it's all it takes. You don't have to give your life some big crazy Marie Kondo makeover. Like, if you want to, more power to you. But I feel like sometimes that's kind of the same as like dieting. Like, if you try to go on some binge diet, like, you're going to give up, you know what I mean? And you're going to gain the weight back. So it's kind of like the same thing with your house. I feel like if you try to like do some crazy big purge, then you're not really getting to like the issue. And sometimes it's exhausting. Like you spend like an entire day in one room and then you walk out to the rest of the house and you're like, oh my gosh, what happened?
Yeah,
So
totally.
little bits at a time.
Oh, and for me, I'll spend an entire day on 75% of a closet, and then
Yes.
I give up and there's just stuff all over the bedroom, and I just go to bed and nothing has been accomplished.
Yes. I know. I know. So that's, I always tell people, I'm like, just grab a bag, set a timer for 15 minutes and fill it with stuff you don't need and then be done. Move on with your day.
Yeah, so true. Well, thank you so much, Corie, for talking to us about goals and purpose and how we can uncover those and set ourselves up for success, really.
Yeah, no problem. I loved being on here and chatting with you about that stuff.
Okay, so before we go, I always ask every guest, what is your wannabe confession?
Um, okay, I saw like your little prep for that and I was laughing so hard because I was like, oh my gosh, I don't even know. Like I saw your little suggestions and I was like, yeah, I do shave my toes actually. And yes, when my kids were little and they peed the bed, we would just put a towel down and you know what I mean? It's like I'm like seriously, I have so many I can't even I've never been asked anything like that. And I was like, I don't know, what do I tell her? Because I am seriously like such a normal person. It's not even funny. Like look in the mirror, like you're in your car and you're like, oh my gosh, I have like a chin hair and I don't have tweezers with me. Like, what in the world am I going to do right now?
Oh, that is such a good one. I have thought on multiple occasions, even in the last week, I need a pair of car tweezers.
Yes, yes,
That just needs to be in my car. Just somewhere in my car, I gotta have car tweezers. Like we have car chapstick, we need car
yes.
tweezers, we need like a little car survival kit or something.
Yes, exactly.
Same
Because
thing.
it's always like you're running out the door and then you get to where you're going. I don't know why I don't look in the mirror when I first get in the car. It's like when you get to where you're going, then you like flip open the mirror and you're like, oh, what am I doing?
Like Night of the Living Dead for
Yes.
me. How did that thing grow,
I know.
12 inches overnight?
Exactly. Exactly.
Thanks so much for listening, you guys. I hope you enjoyed my conversation with Kristen. I hope it has inspired you to simplify your life, to reach for your goals, and just to be okay with who you are and where you're at right now. And just know that we are all the same. We're all just supermom wannabes or super business owner wannabes. And when we actually can just keep plugging away and chasing our dreams and doing the dang thing, then we can get there. So if you guys enjoyed this episode, I would love for you to screenshot it and share it on Instagram. Give me and Kristen a tag. Let us know what you loved about the show. And if you haven't yet, I would greatly appreciate it if you went to iTunes and left a 5-star review and a rating. That would just make me so happy and thankful. And that is exactly what helps other people find the show. So thanks you guys for listening, and I will be back here next week with another episode of Purpose.